Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Consulting Leaders Podcast, a place where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your own practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, John Degnan. Join me as we talk about the best consultants in their niche. And today we welcome David Scott, a leadership consultant, executive coach who helps organizations unlock performance by transforming how people think, behave, and work together. As a leader at Rambutan, he brings a direct, honest, and highly practical approach to developing leaders and teams. Here we explore how consulting firms can move beyond surface level, soft skills, and deliver measurable performance through people. David, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No worries. Pleasure to be here. Nice to meet you, John.
Yeah, you just said off camera that you're going on vacation. This is kind of nice. You have a podcast before vacation.
Nice way to end before going on holiday, yeah.
That's terrific. So we'll try to make this a good one. Tell us about yourself.
So me as a person or me as a leadership consultant?
A little bit of both. We're curious.
Okay, so I'm based here in the UK in a small town, lovely market town called Market Harborough. I have a wife and 3 daughters, all of whom have now left home. In fact, the vacation you just referred to is me going to visit the eldest of those 3. I've been running the company Rambutan for 18 years, and prior to that I was a consultant for a psychology house in London, and prior to that I worked in food retail as an executive, at the end as an executive, for about 13 years, doing what I would describe as a proper job at that time.
Okay, and how did you segue from regular life into a career in consulting?
I guess towards the end of my retail roles, I was a very senior person, and we spent a lot of money on consultants, and I kind of got to meet lots of different consultants. Some were great, some were okay, some were not so good, but I really liked what they offered, what they brought to the business, and I started to read a lot at the time, and it just started to become a natural thing that I wanted to do.
And why did you choose to focus specifically on people and leadership performance?
That's probably evolved over time. I think certainly if we just use the word people, what I found as an operations executive is that I couldn't keep up with the knowledge of other people. My peers knew everything about everything in the business, and I couldn't keep up with that. But what I could do is empower people, coach people, and lead them in a way that actually I didn't need to know because they were the experts. And I found that starting a small family at the time allowed me to work in a very busy retail environment without working all the hours that all my peers were. So it was a natural way of operating for me that I thought actually if I could start something where I could share, teach others that way of working as a leader, that would play to my strengths and also help them out because they could have some of the benefits as well.
Kind of a niche for you, right?
Well, it's not now in terms of my competitors, but at the time in retail, yes, it was. In fact, if you were to poll my peers at the time, they would have said, David Scott, he'll never make a retailer, even though I was kind of on the board of a retail company, because they literally knew everything. And we sold 22,000 products. Even at that level, some people could give you the product codes for those 22,000 products. Like my head would have exploded had I attempted something like that. So yeah, at the time, you use the word niche, they would have said oddity, I think, to be really honest.
And how about your earlier career in consulting? How did that start out for you?
So I did the thing that everyone dreams of doing. I resigned and drove home, told my wife I'd resigned and started a consultancy the next day. So
how did she take that?
She actually said, bless her, she said, whatever, it's me and you versus the world as usual, babe. It'll all be fine. So I was like, that's a good start.
That's a good woman.
Well, at that time as well, she wasn't working, so we had agreed when we had children that unfortunately I would stay at work and she would stay at home. So at that time I was the only source of income as well. So yeah, it was a big relief to get that sort of seal of approval on the evening of day one, or day -1, to be fair.
A lot of grinding, rolling up your sleeves, working overtime to get that consultancy off the ground, right?
Now, again, most people will tell you that's the case. My friends who'd started their own companies said that was the case, and I was determined that that wouldn't be the case. Because what I was leaving behind was a job that was quite consuming in terms of time, and I had a young family. So I wanted, part of my motivation of doing it was to be around more and have more control over my time. So I was quite strict about the number of hours I'd worked, the number of days I worked, never working in the school holidays, never working on a child's birthday or my birthday or anything like that. So I started off how I meant to go on, if you like, on that front. And that's the same today, to be honest.
Got you. What specific problem are you helping your clients solve, and why does it matter so much to you personally to solve it?
So we work with such a variety of clients now. The problems they present, or challenges they present, as I prefer to say it, are so varied. But because our niche is leadership and behaviour and culture, then through our lens, when we're listening, we're hearing things that relate to that, and we're hearing potential solutions that relate to that. But the presenting problem might be, can you improve my net margin? Can you help grow my sales? Can you help improve my net promoter score? In healthcare, can you help our survival rates in our hospitals? The presenting problem is one of a business or organisational problem. And that's because, if I can elaborate on that a little bit, into the world I arrived is a whole raft of consultancies, trainers, coaches, and still to this day, people call what they do soft skills. And I was determined, or we were determined at Rambutan, because we realised they're not soft skills, they're harder. The people stuff, the culture, the behaviour, the leadership behaviour is harder. So at the very outset of Rambutan, we said what we will do is we will talk commercial outcomes or organisational outcomes, and we will do our stuff. But what we'll guarantee is we won't charge for our stuff, we'll charge when the client achieves their outcomes. So from the very first moment in Rambutan, if a client came to us and said, I want to improve my net margin, say it's a transport company, from 6.5 to 7% EBITDA, we would say, we'd take a look at them before agreeing to this, but we would say, okay, if we get you to 7%, will you pay us X? And they'd go, well, of course, because you'll have already. So I said, okay, so we will sign a contract or shake hands on 7% EBITDA or no charge, which made us a niche, because no one, to my knowledge to this day, is doing it to that extent. And then if anyone says to me soft skills, I'll go, 0.5% increase in EBITDA in 6 months. Is that soft? I don't think it is. I think it's quite hard, actually.
So that is different. So do you still monetize that way today?
Yeah, on lots of projects. Some it's difficult to sort of narrow down the actual measure and the intervention that will hit the measure, because organisations are complicated things. But wherever possible, we do that. And if we can't do that, then we'll do a sort of slightly lead indicator of that, which is what are you currently measuring that you know if it improves will hit your final outcome. Maybe we measure and we guarantee at that level, because there are some other complications. So for example, in the UK, in the NHS, there is a proven, widely accepted phenomenon that is, if we are more civil to each other in our culture, we get better medical outcomes. Well, civility is a very soft thing, right? But they have proven that leads to better survival rates. So we've said to them, and we work with 5 hospital trusts in the UK, or NHS trusts in the UK, if you know that civility will deliver that, and we can measure civility, why don't we guarantee some civility outcomes for you? Because you know that then leads into. I wouldn't be possibly brave enough or stupid enough to go and say, we will guarantee more people will survive. That's the doctors and amazing people in the NHS that have to do that work. But their figures say that civility has an impact on that. So yeah, we'll guarantee civility. And if you don't achieve an increase in civility within your trust, no charge. So
that's awesome.
Thank you.
It must be easy for you to get clients.
It's very easy for us to get clients once we're in the room and they realise that is the truth we are speaking. On a piece of paper, many of my competitors say guaranteed results, but they don't look across the table and go, if you get more people surviving, then you can pay us. If not, don't charge. we won't charge.
Right. They just kind of throw up in the air, guarantee, but they don't back it up.
Right. Yeah. As we say in England or in the UK, we've put our money where our mouth is on that subject.
Okay. We say that in the US as well.
Okay.
Okay. Who are your ideal clients today, and who typically holds the decision to bring you in?
So because of what I've just said, it has to be someone at the top table who has accountability and responsibility for delivering some of those business measurables or organizational measurables. So that tends to be the CEO, managing director, CFO, or people director or chief people officer, depending on which language you use, or president and vice president. So it's definitely someone at that level because they can make the commercial decision to say, okay, we will pay you X number of £1,000 or dollars or euros if we get a 0.5 kick in our EBITDA. It has to be at that level to get that level of authorization for that type of transaction. It's quite a big deal, isn't it, if you think about it in those terms?
Sure. And ideally, who your client is?
That, John, really doesn't matter. I mean, if you were to look at our client list now, you'd see law firms, you'd see government departments, you'd see engineering companies, transport companies, travel companies, sports companies. I mean, sports is a good one because that's very easy to measure because there's a league table and there's the number of fors and against. But it varies so massively. The smallest company we work with has 12 employees and the largest 300,000
Wow.
in the commercial sector. And in the largest in the NHS. I mean, the NHS in the UK employs 1 million people.
How many people do you have in your organization?
We have 20 directly employed, and then you probably want to cast that to about 25 because we outsource things like IT and bookkeeping and accountancy. The things we're not good at, basically, we outsource. But if we all gathered in a room at the Christmas party at the moment, it'd be 25 people, which again, 25 people working with a 1 million person organisation with guaranteed results is quite... the other word for niche in English is boutique, so we get called that sometimes. You're quite a boutique offer, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, boutique is nice. I like boutique. How do clients typically find you today, and what has worked best to attract the right kind of organizations for your work?
So we have a number of methods we don't do any cold calling or anything like that. We have a number of methods. One of our methods is to put stuff out there explaining how we think and what we do. So podcasts. We do something called Top Tips. We send information out just for free to people about some of the things we're up to and some of the things we're thinking. So that's kind of a brand building. We specifically work our network. So we all spend a lot of time getting to know, understanding our clients and their organisations, their children, their pets, their kids' birthdays. We spend a lot of time in that sort of networking space, but genuinely trying to get to know people and genuinely seeing if we can help. The great thing about our guarantee is, as well as it sounds great, right, in a boardroom when we say it's a guaranteed result, but the great thing is it makes our consultants really honest because they're not going to promise something they can't deliver because we wouldn't get paid. So it's a very honest, so we're the consultants that will say, no, we can't do that actually, or we don't think that will lead to that. So we'll decline. We don't take every gig, as they say. Back to your question, we also there's quite a lot of European-based networking events, and they work really well for us because that's where I guess we pay and the prospective client gets to go for free. They get to go to a lovely European city for a couple of days, but we get to be face-to-face. So we get to explain our guarantee across a table, and that's when we're in front of people, that's the best space for us to be in, and for us to decide whether or not we could in fact help, because that's like this conversation. It's just a conversation and we're asking about their challenges and what's driving their challenges. So that's the best space for us. We pay for that. It's not cheap, but it pays dividends for our business.
Sure. You mentioned podcasting as a marketing tool for consultants and leadership and coaching. Do you believe in that tool?
We do believe in podcasting. It's more of a brand building thing for us. We've got our own podcast mini series out there at the moment. And that for us is a kind of gift to the world that explains, we spent 10 years developing our model, which is called Why People Do What They Do. We decided we were ready to launch it in COVID. We decided, let's not monetize it. It's COVID. Let's give it to the world as a gift. So we gave that out there. It's free. There's no trademark on it. Everyone can use it. And we've podcasted various elements of it to explain why people do what they do in organizations and how that might link to profit, results, outcomes. I do believe in podcasts. Sorry, I just didn't quite hear you at that point. And I listen to a lot myself.
The type of work you do oftentimes is hard to quantify. How do you build trust with your clients and get them to commit to the process?
That's a great question. At one level, when I say it's guaranteed to get results, some people will have it's got to be something wrong with it, right? You're saying it's free, what's wrong with it? Mm-hmm. So I think it's back to what I've said about being across the table, and it's back to the fact that all our consultants have held senior operational jobs. So they go in and they don't talk like a consultant, they talk like a person in the boardroom. And they understand the numbers. They can work their way through a profit and loss and a balance sheet, and can look at all the organisational drivers and KPIs that feed into that, and be really conversant with that. So they're compelling and convincing because they know what they're talking about in that sense. They don't go in there and talk about leadership culture or the latest models or the theory of coaching. That's up to us to be good at, up to us to worry about. What they talk about is what the client wants to what is worried about or has aspirations for. And I think that really makes a difference. But the quantify question is a good one because we don't have a magic wand. We can't just walk into an organisation and blink and the profits go up. We have to get an understanding of what's driving the profits, what behaviour is currently driving the current profits, what behaviour is missing, what other behaviour would be needed to drive more. I'm using the word profit, it could be any outcome. And then can we isolate that outcome enough to say, yeah, if we did X and Y and Z for you, we'll guarantee that number will move. And sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you cannot isolate that number, as I said before. So, but yeah, that's how we do it. That's how I do it. I mean, at the most, tell me a board of directors that isn't in the endeavour of trying to improve their business. So if we're in that same endeavour, it makes the conversation much easier on both parts. To be honest, we don't have salespeople, so we don't have anyone going out there trying to sell our wares. I say you need to speak to a consultant, and together you'll figure out whether or not there's a match, like culturally, and also whether or not what we do can help you, and what we think we can help you, and we know we can help you, and also that you think that we can do that too. That's a conversation. We've never managed to articulate that in marketing material, and we've got a website obviously, but I don't think it beats that boardroom.
Well, you know what, David? You're articulating it right here in this podcast, and it's coming through very clear to me.
Oh, well, that's great to hear, John. Thank you.
Absolutely. Every client has a challenge. Can you give us an example of maybe one little case study challenge with one of your clients?
Yes, let me do a different one other than what I've mentioned. So, a global holiday brand wants to improve its customer service, which is measuring by Net Promoter Score. So this is the little survey that you get on your phone at the end of your holiday that says you'd recommend it the holiday to a friend. But they don't just want to be best in the travel industry, they want to be best in the world. So we went to them and we looked at the numbers, and it required a 20 percentage point jump for them to achieve that in terms of the NPS score. And then we went and worked on a few of their holiday areas. So this is again for free, this is us finding out. We then went and worked in their contact centres to see what was going on. And we went back to them and we said, we think we can help you. It won't be a year, it might take 2 years. We think you can move in that direction. But being honest, we don't think you've briefed us correctly, because you've briefed us that this is about the people on site, in resort, in hotel, in contact centres, improving the way they deliver service. And we don't think it is. We think you've already got the best in the world. We think the level above them, from team leader up to the board, needs to change its leadership style to allow that brilliance to shine, because at the moment you're shackling the very best in customer service because they're asking for permission, they're in the contact centre, they're looking up at the wallboard, working out whether there's a queue. They're not absolutely engaged, and they can because you recruited the best in the world. So we basically went and did some leadership development. We did a lot of work helping them become more coaches rather than leaders who tell people how to serve, but go up to their person and say, how can I help you do your job? What's getting in the way of you being amazing? And dealing with that rather than telling people what to do. And they hit their target, and they hit their target in 12 months. And unfortunately for this story, for Rambutan, we didn't think it was possible in 12 months, so we'd build it for 2 years. So we only got paid half because we didn't do the second half of the work because they hit their target. So yeah, that's an example. If that helps.
Yeah, I think you take a very progressive approach. Retaining clients, it can be difficult, but certainly in the conversation we've had so far, You talk about guaranteeing them and meeting their expectations. So retention is probably not as difficult for you. Are there any other challenges with retention?
Actually, retention is a slight challenge for us because we're only small. So if you're going to work with a large organisation, what we're actually doing is helping the organisation help itself. So the core skill is transferred. And we don't have any issues with intellectual property rights. Anything we create with that client is entirely owned by them. So in actual fact, if we do our job well enough, they shouldn't need us back for a while. So that's the actual direct retention. But the broader retention is they remember. We end up on their speed dial. They give us the next challenge, maybe a different challenge. And also, very, very good people in their industry tend to move around.
Sure.
So they land somewhere else and they call us and say, remember me, I was at so-and-so travel company, could you come and talk to us? So we get a weird kind of retention that's the same people in different organisations, if that makes sense.
Great. Absolutely. That's terrific. That's terrific. Where do you find yourself getting stuck most right now as a consultant, if at all?
That's another great question. I don't think we're stuck, but I think we are wrestling with AI and its impact. So we're embracing it, but it's fair to say, in terms of the analysis piece, it does an as good, if not better, on occasion job than a group of consultants staring at some numbers. So we need to work out what we do about that, because this is an opportunity for us to offer the same value, maybe at slightly lower cost, because the AI solution is a lot more cost effective. So that's something. I think the people listening to this will probably agree with this one more than any other. We've got to have people that are conversant in a boardroom that know all the theory but don't peddle it, and they're hard to find. So finding people that can walk into a boardroom, because if they could do that, they'd be doing it already. They'd be running their own companies, or they'd be in that boardroom. So finding people. So we're a slow growth organisation. You know, we started with 3 of us in 2008. We're now at 20. We've never gone backwards, but we've always just gradually. But we're not owned by anyone, so no one's putting any pressure on us for that. But if you were to look at our track record of growth, you'd say you're not exactly a startup, are you? You know, we haven't done that. We haven't done the exponential thing, and that's because of that challenge. Maybe also because of our recognizing that challenge. That's not our desire to do so.
Looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunity for improving people performance and leadership within organizations over the next few years?
Gosh, you asked some great questions. This is like I feel like I'm being coached, not questioned here. This is great. I think so look at what we're encountering now in the marketplace, and the challenges relate to that. We're encountering burnout in employers. We're encountering executives, managers working too hard. We're encountering the devices that we were sold that would make our work lives easier. In fact, have extended our workday. Everything, as it always is, needs to be faster, quicker, cheaper, better. And what we're getting there is leaders that don't have time. The leaders that don't have time to stop, to think strategically, to let go of their organisation bits that they don't need to do. So I think the biggest opportunities for us are to be there and hold the hand of leaders and get them to realise that's not your job. I know it feels like it because you're on a hamster wheel, but unless you get off that wheel, you'll always be on that wheel. And coaching in that frame is a huge part of our business. The amount of times my coaches report back that the coachee that they were working with is far too down into the detail, is micromanaging and is doing the job of a person 2-3 levels below them. And I would have said the same answer, John, 5 years ago, but now it's more pronounced because now the demands are from above that they do that they know everything, that they are involved in everything. And I find a lot of people find it very hard managing upwards to say, I don't know. You don't pay me to know that. But I know the people who do know that are the best in the business and they're on with it and will hit the targets. Instead, you get, so I'm working currently with an organisation that's a financial organisation that serves the general public as the end interface. It's 13,000 people. Mr. A blogs from the public, writes a letter of complaint. It ends up on the chief exec's desk as an individual item, and that then causes chaos. because the chief exec asks the next level down, what's going on here? Well, they don't know. There's 7 layers of management between the chief exec and that customer. And that is a huge opportunity, I think, for business, a huge opportunity to stop burnout, huge opportunity to have better and more fulfilling workplaces for employees, and a huge opportunity for Rambutan as we help our clients on that journey, I think.
David, you're a high-level consultant, yet you still embrace local businesses, small local businesses. I think it's very interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, we want to make a difference in our local community. We want to help businesses that are doing good in the world. So be they small local businesses, be they, a small global business is Amnesty International, which is one of our clients, but there's only 100 and so people working it in the UK. But in terms of an organisation whose mission is to make the world a more just place, why would we want to go and help them? So for all those, including the NHS and including Amnesty and various other small businesses and charities, we operate a cost model where we only charge the cost of the consultant, not the fee, so that we don't make any money per se out of those. Because it's just nice to be able to do that, isn't it? It's nice to be able to... come on, I'm working with the NHS. Can you imagine that somebody didn't get the treatment they wanted because the fee got sent to Rambutan instead of employing the best consultant? I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So we do our very best with those types of organisations. The smaller the organisation for us, it does get a bit hard because if you're dealing with a one-man band or one-woman band and there's 12 people and that one woman or man is the problem, it's difficult sometimes because, you are dealing with almost giving business advice and face-to-face feedback to a person who owns the train set and they always wanted to have that train set, and that could be a challenge.
How do you tell the person who owns the train set that they're the problem?
Yeah, well, there you go. Thank you. What a great question. That's exactly it. You find a way for them to see it. You can't be telling them. You find a way. You point out. You do some discovery work or research work, as others call it, and you point out some examples of behaviour that you've seen or heard or observed that might not be optimal, and ask them what their view on that is, whether they can change. So it's not direct criticism, but it is a mirror on their. You hold them a mirror on their impact on their business.
Got you. Well, Dave, this is a great conversation. If people want to find out more about you and see what you do, where should they go?
Just go to www.rambutan.biz, B-I-Z. All our contact details are on there. There are buttons next to each consultant where you can click and say hello, or there's a hello address. And all of our clients are listed, but some of the case studies, not the ones I've talked about because I've anonymised them, but some of our case studies are on there. So if you wanted to just go and, it's all not trademarked, it's all there for people to consume. So if you wanted a case study on rail engineering, there'll be one on there. It'll tell you what the challenge was, what we did, and there'll be a quote or a measure from the client at the end, or the metrics. So they're all on there for people to see. And I'm just going back to what I said about our model. That was 10 years of research, but research by being in boardrooms, not academic research, then backed up with academic research. And when we launched that, we gave that for free. And I don't know any other company that would say, this is quite cool actually, use it, have it, it's yours, copy it, do what you like with it. So again, that resource is on our website as well, so that might give people a reason to go and do that.
That's very cool. David, thanks so much for the talk. We really appreciate it. This is Consulting Leaders, always talking with great consultants in their niche. David, you're certainly one of them. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Great to see you, John.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.